Good evening, my name is Anna, and we would like to present our study entitled The Challenge of Remote Practical Teaching in Veterinary Medicine, performed at the Faculty of Veterinary Science at the University of Murcia during the last academic course. Online teaching has progressively increased in the last years. Moreover, due to the current crisis situation caused by COVID-19, most of educational institutions have had to rapidly adapt themselves to non-presential teaching learning methodologies. However, virtual teaching represents an important challenge for subjects with clinical content, such as laboratory or clinical practices in veterinary medicine. In this regard, it is necessary to analyze how the implementation of a non-presential teaching learning methodology affects the academic results of veterinary students compared to those who have carried out the on-site practical activities at a laboratory and visiting livestock farms. Therefore, the objective of this study is to compare the learning outcomes and academic performance of the students who attended face-to-face and virtual activities in a context of a clinical subject in the degree in veterinary medicine, using the subject of parasitic diseases as a model. Focusing the methodology of the present study, we would like to describe the study subjects. In the context of social distancing and self-containment measures imposed during the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic in Murcia, Spain, the on-site practical activities were suspended for veterinary students from March 16th to the end of July 2020. From the total of 91 students who were enrolled for practical training of parasitic diseases from February to May 2020, 51 were able to conduct face-to-face clinical classes prior to the confinement, comprising a FC group, while the remaining 40 students that had scheduled their practical training after March were only able to participate in virtual classes, and they comprised the VC group. Practical activities consisted of presentation and discussion of a seminar in front of the teacher and the rest of the group's classmates that was carried out in the classroom for the FC group or by video conference for the VC group. Diagnosis and solving clinical cases of parasitic diseases from different animal species that was carried out using diagnostic techniques in the laboratory by the FC group or by solving previously designed virtual cases based on images, videos, and internet resources for the VC group. Both student groups had to demonstrate the acquired skills and knowledge by means of a written exam, with similar structure and contents for both groups, consisting of 5 short questions concerning the parasitic diseases that were covered during the activities. The final grades obtained by the students of both groups were calculated by weighing the scores achieved in the seminar, which was the 40% of the final grade, and the written exam, the 60%. Finally, data analysis was performed as follows. Statistical significance between the average scores of the seminar, the written exam, and the final grade obtained by both FC and VC groups were studied by students' t-test. Median 25th and 75th percentiles of the different scores were represented by box plots. Statistical analysis was performed by SPSS software, and significant statistical difference were considered when p-value was below 0.05. Now we continue with the results obtained and the subsequent discussion. All students, both from in the FC and the VC groups, passed the practical part of the subject. However, as shown in the following graphics, the VC group got better results with average score significantly higher in the seminar, the written exam, and the final grade, all of them with p-value below 0.001. This result seems to indicate that the students participating in virtual classes have been able to optimize the time and resources available on a self-learning oriented activities, demonstrating a better knowledge of the key information related to the parasitic diseases of the animals, in detail, etiology, diagnosis, lesions, clinical signs, treatment, and preventive measures, and performing better in their final evaluation. In addition, teachers may have invested more time in designing virtual clinical cases, providing more videos, precise images, and internet links referring to parasitic diseases to the VC group. We have to take into account that working in the laboratory with real samples and visiting farms is an essential part of a clinical training, but possibly due to the difficulty to perform time-consuming technical skills to diagnose parasitic diseases by means of a microscope, the FC group got lower grades in the written exam. On the other hand, the students who carry out the clinical activities at the laboratory usually use textbooks and do not have the ubiquitous digital information that, in the case of non-presential learning, the teacher makes available to the students, including a picture with the parasite or lesion to identify. Importantly, the advantage of carrying out face-to-face activities is that the student acquired practical skills in the laboratory or in the clinical activity that cannot be acquired through the virtual learning, although they are not always reflected in the final grades. Further improvements on practical online teaching would be to design and use new tools that could mimic the activities carried out in the diagnostic laboratory, such as the virtual microscope, Leica image viewer, and DSB e-learning system, and to incorporate more specific e-learning platforms focused on veterinary science, and more importantly, to use evaluation systems designed to reflect more accurately the skills acquired by the students. In conclusion, this study provides an example of the successful qualification obtained by students who attended to virtual practical activities, comparing to those who assist to laboratory practices. However, some implementation should be incorporated on the virtual model in order to equal the learning achievements which are usually obtained by face-to-face practical lessons. Thank you very much for your attention.